Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Winter's Wish, continuing Kuga's route. We just hit chapter 6, and we had our little battle with Hanzo, who apparently is a form folk who turned into a Blightfall, who possesses other form folk. And not just he can control them, he literally possesses their body, because the whole time he was in Mitsu's body. So, did we kill her because Kuga smacked her I don't know. Anyway, we had a lot to deal with afterwards. Our first order of business was taking care of the many form folk Hanzo had abandoned, who were as limp as marionettes with broken strings. Bird, I love you, but Jesus, your toenails suck so much. Ugh, and you're digging them into my goddamn neck. Ugh, to adjust my shirt. I love you, but your toenails are the worst. I know, we still haven't wrapped the top of your cage. We just don't have time to do that right now because Grandma's coming tomorrow, and then we got doctor appointments, and we don't have time. But your toenails suck. I was most worried about Mitsu since Kuga had cut into her wooden tag. But apparently that had only been an illusion. Although it looked like he had, Mitsu actually wore hers around her wrist, so she was perfectly fine. Okay, I was wondering about it because I was like, she didn't wear hers around her neck though, but like, okay, an illusion. Yeah, it makes sense. Because we think it's Hanzo, but it's really not. Like the other form folk, however, it would be a while before she was in any state to talk. All we could do for now was keep an eye on her. You can come back and snuggle, but do not pull my shirt down and jab your toenails. Oh, there's my bitchy little wizard. What the hell do you mean, spirit, Blightfall? You really expect me to believe something as fishy as that? What more can we say? It's the truth. Indeed, they don't seem to be deluded or telling some kind of absurd joke. Hanzo's abilities truly are remarkable. You don't think Hanzo might be lying about having godly powers? I knew this would be a big mess. After Yoichi and I brought Mitsu back to Otone, I am just Bird, I swear to fucking God. Stop pulling my shirt down. I don't think you're doing it on purpose. I think you're just that fucking fat. That you're pulling my shirt down. I'm trying to block it because I don't want your toes digging into my fucking skin. Stop pulling my shirt down with your fat ass. It's just, he doesn't weigh that much, but the weight of him is just pulling down my shirt collar and like, so that he can then jam himself into like my chest skin of the dagger toe, and it's so uncomfortable. Not that I can't feel his little dagger toes through my shirt, but it's still a little bit of a buffer. So like instead of just like nails on skin, ugh. We went back to the base. An argument had broken out between everyone who'd accompanied Kuga back and Yabuta and Miyagi, who hadn't taken part in the battle. Now he's trying to bite on my shirt collar and it's like biting my neck. You're such an ass right now. It's true, though. I can't believe he managed to possess another form folk and then turn himself into a Blightfall. We weren't able to kill the Blightfall in the Kamakiri case by slashing it. We weren't able to kill the Blightfall in the Kamakiri case by slashing it, but only because we didn't know what its weak point was. In Hanzo's case, we couldn't destroy the object serving as his weak point because he had no true form. That would only injure the form folk he'd possessed. Okay, I have a feeling it's going to be like we're going to have to purify him because we learned we can do that. So we have not done anything or used our whatever powers, since Mitsu. So like, it's like we're not even trying. They never bring it up. Now this is why. Okay. In other words, we have no way to purify or exterminate him. Yes, you do. You can. And that reminds me. You said the first time you and Genjiro ran into Hanzo, you found an unconscious form folk where his tracks suddenly left off, right? This is why I thought this was what the case was. Oh, yeah. You're the form folk who works at the steamed bun restaurant, aren't you? What? Is that you again? How did I get here? I was just running the restaurant. Oh, okay, I needed a good yawn, so. Excuse me, but did anyone run over in this direction? Did you lose consciousness after he struck you, maybe? Did I? I don't remember anything after being at the restaurant. But maybe something did happen? I had a really nice dream. What was it about again? Vengeance on my enemy. I mean, this is what I'm trying to get. What kind of dream is he giving these people? Maybe he was being possessed by Hanzo, just like Mitsu was. Hanzo's tracks disappeared because he ditched the body in order to run away. That makes a lot of sense. I wonder if Hanzo abandoned his temporary body when he stopped by Mitsu's. He must have done it because one of the neighbor's servants was at Otone's house and he possessed him instead. And next he targeted Mitsu herself. It's hard to say whether he kidnapped her like the other form folk or just took a long time possessing her at that point. Anyway, he probably completely possessed her by the time we got to his stronghold, the merchant's house. Perhaps there are requirements around possessing someone else's body. Which is why the tracks only come, never leave. Not much we can do with that knowledge at this point. First and foremost, we need to think of a way to get rid of Hanzo. I fucking love Yabuta so goddamn much. First of all, glasses. Second of all, he's just such a salty little asshole. I'm just saying. I am just saying. I will do things to that man so the next day he's going to be meek like a tiny little kitten and they're going to be like, "What the hell happened to you?" And I'm just going to sit there and just be filing my nails like just like I don't have any idea what's happening in the conversation so that they don't suspect me. And then they're going to suspect me and I'm going to be like, "What? It's a secret." Please, listen. If you're not a fan of Yabuta, then you don't get it. But if you are, you would do things to that man, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're like, yes. And if you're not a fan of Yabuta, then you just put in a man that you are a fan of in that place, and go, I would do things, yeah, no. So you get what I'm saying, you know. Even if you don't feel it for him, you feel the exact same way I do about a different character, so it's valid. There are a lot of characters I would do things to in this game. It's very, I don't want to say it's confusing, because it's really not. I've gotten used to having a very full man harem, but I swear to God, I think I might... I don't know what I'm going to forget. I've already forgotten math. I can't forget how to read, because I'm not very good at that anyway. This is why when people ask me things, I'm like, I have no idea. I don't remember. Did we talk about that yesterday? I don't have room in my brain for, knowledge. Too many men in here. Too many personalities. I suppose, I am leery as to, close off Wings of the Man Harem and be like, you know what, these are my favorites from this game, but it's been a while since we've played them, so we have to put them in a little box and put them in storage. I don't want to put any of our men in storage. I don't think that's fair. I don't know how to make my brain space bigger for all these whores that I got in here. But anyway, that's the soothsayer's jurisdiction. I can't say I'm jumping for joy having to come up with a strategy involving meetings with those unbearable bastards. Kyohiko, Mitsuhige, and I will take care of that part. And the rest of you, go back to your normal posts and continue monitoring the form folk Hanzo was controlling. And then on the opposite this is why I love Kyohiko and Kyoshiro. I love the two of them. I want to be in the middle of that little man sandwich, okay? Because they are so fucking different. You have Kyoshiro who has no fucking personality. His personality is he's a robot. And then you have Kyohiko who's like, fuck, he is worse than Yoichi. Yoichi whines, but Kyohiko, for a vessel that's not supposed to have feelings, you have an awful lot of negative ones, is all I'm saying. Oh no, he's a person. Right, never mind. He's actually not... He's not a vessel. No. He and Miyagi are real people. That sounds so mean. Oh my god. They're not vessels is what I mean. They're actually humans. Not real people. They're humans. Okay. Right. That explain... Oh god, I forgot that for a hot second. But still! I love that. Listen, sweetie. We have a robot boyfriend now. It's okay. And Genjiro, on the other hand, you're not to leave the base until this has been resolved. What? Kyoshiro's order startled me. A matter of fact, Kyoshiro's incredibly stern tone was a far cry from when he'd allowed us to take a litter to Hanzo's hideout.
The base, sir? Right. There's a barrier around the base that prevents Blightfall from breaking in. You're far less likely to be attacked by Hanzo here than at your house.
Oh, Kuga looks so sad.
You're not objecting, are you? We've nothing to gain for you being attacked by Hanzo right now. All driving him away.
Yeah, no. Okay, I don't know why my brain couldn't process. See, I'm forgetting how to read because I have too many men in the man harem. Okay.
All driving him away will do is kill the forum folks he's possessed. Besides, on the off chance Hanzo does attack you, I highly suspect he'll be even more out of control.
Exactly. He may behave himself after achieving his goal, but don't get your hopes up. The best way we can hope for is that he'll get carried away and run wild.
Precisely. Right now, you should consider protecting yourself in order to help us solve this case.
Oh, look at his little sad face. He's so adorable. Look at his little sad face.
I understand. I originally wanted to go outside because I thought doing so would allow us to defeat Hanzo. If you say having me stay put is crucial to bringing him down, I have no objections.
Kuga. As he'd put it himself, Kuga agreed with their instructions and probably had no complaints of his own. Still, there was no doubt in my mind that Genjiro looked glum because he couldn't ask about, you know.
But isn't this Gengoemon Akahori guy Hanzo's looking for your old owner, Genjiro?
There, Otaro will do it, don't worry. No, she was like, he can't ask about, and then here's Otaro. But you know what? I feel like the sprightly little ones can ask these questions. Everyone's gonna be like, but he's he's okay. The little chihuahua's allowed to ask. Otaro! See, everyone's like, oh my god. Otaro, you can't just ask people why they're white. Kuga seemed concerned, but knew better than to ask because he was fully aware he shouldn't be looking into his past. I hadn't been sure whether to ask about it on Kuga's behalf or sweep it under the rug, but here was Otaro casually saying it out loud. Somebody had to. Good for him. Otaro, that's not something you should ask. Tojo's like, Otaro, you can't just ask people why they're white. This is such Mean Girls energy right here. I love it. Oh my god, Gretchen.
Wait, really? But if we learn more, maybe it'll make fighting Hanzo a bit easier.
Otaro, since he's locked. Tominari, I think you can do his bad endings, but you can't do his best ending. But Otaro, I think, is fully fucking locked, and it just makes me feel like, especially after we did Tojo, and then everybody was kind of free to do whatever they want, and Otaro was like, peace out, motherfucker, and was never seen or heard from again and ran away. You know what I mean? He was like, all right, he's going to go off on his own adventures. It was like, why are you the one that goes off on your own adventures? And now he's like, hey, we should learn more about this shit. Come on. There is something about you. You are special. You are special. I mean, obviously, the vessels are all special in their own. But I mean, these got a little, asterisk there that's the special for something. There's something about you that you're not like other vessels. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but I feel like with these tiny little things that they keep sprinkling in, it's supposed to kind of almost separate them out from them a little bit. I don't know. It's interesting. And if he turns out to just be like everybody else, I'm going to be slightly disappointed because he's a locked route, so it feels like, okay, there's a lot more plot or something that we're not supposed to know about or get to for a reason. You're locked for a reason. And then you go run off and do your own little thing as soon as you're given the chance, and now you're trying to find out about your past. You know what I mean? I don't know. Put a pin in that. I don't want to say sus. There's something sus about you. Not in a bad way, oh my god, he's suspicious, but it's something about your route is it's gonna be different. You're not like other vessels, so.
Besides, Genjiro seems pretty curious.
Shh! Otaro, you can't just reveal he's got feelings. Hey, don't go around saying weird things like that. Genjiro would never be curious about his past.
Good for Yoichi standing up. Genjiro's like, I am, but shh.
Are we done here? I'm beat. Gonna take a bath and head to bed.
Lord Miyagi, do you know the whole truth?
Kuga had cut Yoichi off while he was in the middle of blatantly trying to end the conversation. I do like that Yoichi was trying to defend him, because, like, you know what I mean? Like, Otaro's like, oh, Genjiro's curious. Curiosity gets a vessel killed. It's not just killing the cat, it's killing the vessel. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of, like, you shouldn't be curious. It's like having emotion. You know what I mean? Like, it seems bad. Otaro bringing it up and being curious and wanting to know is, again, put a pin in that's a little sus. Like, are we not going to talk about this? You're just going to gloss over that because it's not his route? But I feel like it's a little indicator, again, not like other vessels. But Yoichi jumping in and be like, God, he's not interested in that. God, whatever. He's defending his friend, and that's like, because he's thinking in his mind, he knows, don't you get my friend killed? What the fuck? Like, curiosity is going to get you killed, you know? And he's like trying to defend him, like, that's kind of a. Aww. Aw, Yoichi, you're actually a little softy in there, aren't you? But, like, even though Kuga's not supposed to know anything about his history, after someone tells you, you're definitely that guy who killed my father because that's my father's weapon that he made, and the man who killed him stole it, and you're like, I am this sword, and oh, now you just kind of feel bad about yourself. Sweetie, you had nothing to do with any of it. You're a stolen object. But it is weird that the man who murdered the creator of the sword then loved you so much that he brought you to life. That's a little odd. A little weird. I would have figured is it Tadahime? Was that the guy's name? Like, Hanzo's father? He would have been the one that's something that he crafted himself. Like, oh, he loves that so much that he would have brought you to life, not somebody that stole it from him. You know what I mean?
Genjiro, I realize it's dangerous for me to know about my past, but if Hanzo really is seeking revenge on my owner, I vow to stop him no matter what it takes. I'm more resolved than I've ever been. What are you talking about, Genjiro? We don't need to be resolved. It's a vessel's job to see things through either way. Oh, you slipped! Oh, no, Kyoshiro's gonna want you dead. Listen, I love Kyoshiro, but he's the one that's like, we should kill you now. He just wants to... This is not Highlander! This is not, there can be only one and you have to behead the other Highlanders. This is not how this works! Kyoshiro, simmer down! That's certainly true. It's not worth hearing him out. It's not worth hearing him out, Mitsuhige. Besides, you just ordered him to stay put at the base. Giving him the motivation not to would just complicate things. Miyagi's like, but like... I love Yabuda's bitch face. Actually, Genjiro will just start saying nonsense again if he's kept in the dark about this. What? I know my subordinates better than anyone else, so I'm gonna tell him everything I know. Once I do, Kuga, don't stray from what you just said about stopping Hanzo, no matter what it takes. Can you promise me you'll put your own safety first? Don't stray from what you just said about stopping Hanzo, no matter what it takes. Can you promise me you'll put your own safety first? That seems contradictory, like, you know, once I do, don't stray from what you just said. Stop Hanzo no matter what it takes, but, like, put your safety first. You know what I mean? No matter what it takes would be risking my own life to do it, and then you're like, but don't do that. So it's not, you know. Sir, I'm very grateful. I'll keep my word. And these two are like, Mitsuhige, how likely are you to change your behavior if Kiyohiko and I tell you off? Kyoshiro says that with no personality. 0 this time. Do as you like, then. Just know that you bear all responsibility for this. Do you mind, Kiyohiko? Ugh, I'm leaving. The soothsayer thing alone has me depressed, but this?
Yabuta left the manor, grumbling to himself and not looking at either Kuga or Miyagi. Then Kyoshiro turned toward Kuga and peered straight into his eyes.
Genjiro, don't ever forget what Mitsuhige said. Understood.
Kyoshiro seemed satisfied after hearing Kuga's response. He nodded and also followed Yabuta out the door. This left Miyagi and the Castletown team, Kuga, Yoichi, and myself at the base. So, like, Otaro was the one that asked, and I guess he's gone now. He just left, and Tojo left, and everybody else left. They didn't bother. Okay, whatever. They're all gone, I guess. Oh, okay, here we go. I was like, where the fuck is everyone else? Not to mention the vessels from each team. I was like, where'd everyone else go? Never mind. Maybe we should go ahead and leave then? I didn't really want to hear about his past anyway, and I just thought Kuga might feel better without us around. I figured that if Kuga had decided himself to hear what Miyagi had to say, we should probably leave them alone. But then...
You're leaving, Spacey? I'm dying to hear this. I'm sure Genjiro doesn't mind.
Could you imagine having an audience learning about your past? I was expecting him to be like wanting us to stay.
Not at all. If it'll make fighting Hanzo easier, as you mentioned earlier.
I don't really care either way. Doesn't change the fact that we gotta take down an oddball blightfall like Hanzo.
But isn't this exactly why we should be gleaning any information we can? We got no idea where to find clues that'll help us take him down.
Otaro was poking his nose into this like a curious bystander, but he was a vessel. See, even she knows he ain't acting like a normal vessel. He was probably only saying this in an attempt to find some way to make it useful to the mission. No, I think there's some other reason we're not going to know till the end of the game. And Miyagi, what's he going to do? Although he hadn't used these exact words when speaking earlier, Miyagi knew Kuga well from working alongside him for so long. Would he talk to Kuga alone or include the rest of us outsiders? I waited for his decision when...
Before we get into it, there's something I wanted to ask Kinji about. Do you mind?
Me? Regarding what?
What play are they performing at the...
Bunraku Puppet Theater? Oh, okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, isn't it?
Bunraku Puppet Theater, a play performed using puppets, where a no actor gives a dramatic recitation accompanied by a shamisen.
A tale of vengeance. Aha. In which case, allow me to join you. I'll have to once again refrain from carrying the litter, however.
What? They're doing it. Are we gonna go to a puppet? He's like, before I tell you your life story, let's go watch a puppet theater performance. Puppet theater thing. Like 100 years ago, I think we were in Texas at a theme park. We used to go to theme parks a lot when I was a kid when we travel and like summer vacations and stuff. And it might have been a Texas one or whatever. And I forgot about this story until my mom brought it up, and I was like, oh my God. We were at one, and of course, my mom dressed my dad. He'd wear whatever the hell. So he'd always wear like he was wearing red shorts, I think, and like a striped shirt. He'd have like green short, like funky colored shorts and shit, because my mom would like buy him like, oh, these are nice. And my dad would be like, whatever. Like, no fucks given. My mom would just be like, here you go, wear this. And he'd be like, okay. Like, you know? But we were there. I feel like he was wearing red. I don't know. But there was like this little puppet theater thing, like a little Punch and Judy kind of theater thing. Like, you know, and it was like puppets, and the puppets would talk and like talk to the audience, like made fun of. And I think we were just like walking by, and the puppet, was it a creepy looking little puppet, or was it a crow? I can't remember, but like it was like the person, like obviously they can see like through the little puppet booth to see the audience, and they called out and stopped my dad. We were just walking by. Actually, I think at one point, I think we were sitting in the audience, and the puppet started to heckle my dad, like make fun of him and like stuff like that, and was joking around like, where are you from? Oh yeah, okay, whatever. Oh my God. Like what? And it was just so funny because the puppet was heckling my dad. And then later we were walking by the theater because it was like outside. It was just like a little thing. And then there was like the little seats, like whatever. So we were like walking past, and it must have been the same person doing the little puppet show, because then they saw my dad and they started heckling him again. And so he's just getting heckled by a fucking puppet. And I don't know why when they talked about the puppet theater, and I was just internally thinking about this again, and it's just fucking hilarious. And my dad probably loves the fact that I told that story. It's like, but it's just fucking funny. I mean, he had a good sense of humor about it. You know what I mean? Laughing at the fact that he's getting heckled by a puppet. It's just... fun times. Fun times. Anyway. Hup, 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 hup. Okay. Their enthusiastic voices resonated through the entertainment district at sunset as they carried Kuga in the litter. I couldn't tell this afternoon because I was inside the litter, but now I can see how hard they were working. I walked alongside the litter with Miyagi and Kinji, since fewer people knew me here in the entertainment district than in Castletown. There's no other way to move Genjiro safely at the moment. I feel bad about putting them through this, though. I'm sure they're fine. Kunitaka's plenty strong. Tominari probably doesn't think anything of it, and Otaro offered to do it himself. I take it Yoichi probably isn't okay, then. Carrying the litter seemed to be quite an ordeal. The shouts were beginning to sound pretty frantic. I'll have to compensate them for this later. We're almost there. We could just put him in a body bag and carry him like we're carrying a dead body. I watched my first Joruri puppet play after going to the Kabuki theater to visit Kinji. Inside the puppet theater was just as lively as the Kabuki performance had been. Joruri originated in the Kansai area, in the west. Small puppet theaters like these have popped up in Edo, creating competition for the city's Kabuki actors. Are you jealous of a puppet, Kinji? Are you jealous of a puppet? Because no puppet can be as beautiful as you. I'm gonna need you to stop. Alright, Joruri and Kabuki have always been friendly rivals. Joruri theaters now do Kabuki plays and Kabuki performances incorporating Joruri-style singing. But, now's not the time to be talking about that. Mitsuhige, what in the world are we doing? Weren't we gonna talk about Genjiro's owner? Seriously? That's what we were supposed to be doing, but Miyagi brought us all to the entertainment district to watch a play for some reason. No, it's a puppet show. And Kuga's like... However, Kuga, the person this all revolved around, was sitting in the dark, staring at the stage very seriously without any complaints. Anyway, maybe I should take this seriously and watch. Then the play began, which went roughly like this. Though Ronin Goemon Akahori's swordsmanship was second to none, his adoptive father, Yukon Akahori, found his arrogance concerning. And that's why we're here! I mean, you knew it was going to have something to do with it. I didn't know it was actually going to be Gengoemon's story. You know what I mean? 100% he was going to be like, base, or they were going to say the names. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this person, and then there was going to be like, that's basically your story. Yukon turned to Uemon Ishiki, a man renowned for his good character, for his help in rectifying the Ronin's behavior. Oh, Uemon Ishii. Wasn't Ishii, why is that familiar? To test Gengoemon's mettle, Uemon sent him back from whence he came. However, Gengoemon didn't much care for this. Gengoemon challenged Uemon to a duel and was beaten. Resentful about his loss, he ambushed Uemon on the streets at night and killed him. Uemon murdered out of undue hatred, left behind 4 sons. To avenge their loving father, his 2 oldest sons, Sonojo and Hikoshichi, challenged Gengoemon to a duel. Alas, Gengoemon beat them at their own game, and Sonojo breathed his last. Hikoshichi managed to survive, only to be caught in a storm on his quest to chase down Gengoemon and drown. Despite being mere infants when their father was murdered, Genzo and his younger brother Hanzo resolved to take matters into their own hands. After many trials and tribulations, the 2 of them finally succeeded. Oh. and killing Gengoemon Akahori, avenging their father 29 years after his death. Are you trying to tell me that Hanzo's supposed to be like 30? Because, like, he looks like 15. Well, we said we're, like, he's close to our age, but we ain't, but, like, 29 years after his death, they were infants. So they're over the age of 30. I mean, you could have been, like, anywhere up to a year, up to 2 years, but you're still basically 30. And also, they killed him. So either there's liberties taken here because, again, 29 years after his death, Hanzo's not that old, but like he is kind of a ghost, so does he not remember that he already got revenge on Akahori? You know what I mean? Like he was so consumed with revenge that if he died in the process or something, he doesn't realize that he got revenge and he's still out for revenge, not realizing he's already done it. You know what I mean? He's like a haunted spirit type thing. Or the puppet theater is like, well, I mean, they said 29 years after, but it's only been like 5, and like whatever, or like the story is like, we're just going to tie it in a neat little bow and pretend it was resolved, but it really isn't. I sat in stunned silence, rooted to the spot as the curtains fell and the audience around us began to leave the tent. Was that? Tale of Vengeance is based on an actual incident that happened 20-some years ago. 29, to be exact. Miyagi slowly began to speak. The entire Oniwaban honed in on the sound of Miyagi's voice after having paid attention to the puppet play. Many parts of it differ from reality, however. First, Uemon's youngest son, Hanzo, wasn't his actual son. He was a form folk. Oh, right, that's right, I totally forgot. That explains what... Never mind. Because form folk probably don't age like normal people. I keep forgetting he's a form folk and that there are different rules for them. And about the ending. In real life, Hanzo and Genzo weren't able to defeat Gengoemon. They were both killed just like their father. Ah, okay, there's the difference. So he's a vengeful spirit! All anyone could talk about back then was how much of a shame it was they were killed, since they'd wanted to avenge their father ever since they were little. And the author of the play must have changed the details to something he thought would make the audience happier. Also, Gengoemon was never depicted stealing a wakizashi in the play, but that's only because the dead don't talk.
And, sir, you know this because...
Right. As you may have already realized, the story depicts the connections between Genjiro's previous owner and Hanzo. And Gengoemon Akahori owned the object Genjiro was derived from. Kuga must have been prepared to hear that since the moment he heard the name Tadamine Asama leave Hanzo's lips. But his owner not only stole the precious object he came from, he killed the person who forged it. That's gotta weigh on you. If I were in Kuga's shoes, I would have been praying there'd be some kind of mistake. But the truth had been forced onto him, and there was no way to hide from it. You knew about this, Mitsuhige. You knew ever since Hanzo showed up and called Genjiro Gengoemon, and started trying to exact revenge on him.
Sorry, I heard how Genjiro's sword came into the shogunate's possession. I guessed the rest the moment I heard their names.
Huh. That explained what happened when we first talked to him about Hanzo. The color of Miyagi's emotional threads usually matched what he said, but they'd been a slightly different color then.
May I also ask how it did?
Kuga asked Miyagi quietly. He may have been quiet, but...
Sir... Right. I promised to tell you everything I know. You know how I mentioned that the incident was infamous because people felt bad Hanzo and his older brother were killed by Gengoemon when trying to avenge their father? When people found out about the terrible things he'd done, they chased Gengoemon out of the fief he was living in. Unsure how to get by, he pawned the sword. Afterwards, he made a living as an umbrella vendor for a while before eventually succumbing to an illness. So Hanzo is just a vengeful spirit in a... Well...
we don't. Well, yeah, because like if he actually died, I mean, he's a form folk, so Gengoemon probably knew that, destroyed the thing, whatever. But if he didn't destroy the object, I don't know. Listen. But it explains why he's able to possess form folk, being a form folk, and the fact that he's kind of sort of a ghost. But I mean, it's kind of interesting actually. So he's like a vengeful ghost that thinks he's got to kill Gengoemon, but it's like Gengoemon's dead and he killed you. You're dead and then he ended up dead. He's dead now. You can't get vengeance on him. And you can't kill Kuga because he is the sword. So you'd be killing your essential brother. Sort of.
I see. Very well then.
Poor Kuga. It's like I don't know if it's your stepdad was a douche. Your stepdad was a bad man. Oh, that's so sad. It's like finding out, like, my dad left for cigarettes and never came back, and I just want to know what happened to him. And then you're like, oh, he was out there gambling and smoking and drinking and sleeping with hookers and hitting on girls who were like 30 years younger than him. And then he, like, died sad and alone. And you're like, oh. I was hoping it was going to be something not depressing like that, and he might have not been a douche, and you're like, no, your stepdad was a douche. Because, like, do we really consider Gengoemon his daddy, or is what's-his-face his dad? Is Hanzo his brother, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, who's your real daddy? I feel like, even though if Gengoemon was the man who kind of gave life to you, but at the same time, he pawned the sword, and the sword, they brought the vessel to life. The shogunate, right? It's not like he popped out and was like, hey! You know what I mean? He remembers all of this. If we unlock his memories, he will remember it all. But I feel like you had probably more sentience because of the man who originally created you. That's what I want to believe. The man who originally created you is probably the one that poured all his love and effort in, because we were talking about it's a beautiful sword and like how beautiful his sword form is. How beautiful his sword is. That sounds wildly inappropriate, and that's not what I meant, but like have fun with that one. But you know what I mean? So it's like I would feel like the person that crafted the blade would have put more love and affection into it and been more likely to be the one that gave you life than somebody who just stabbed that man and stole you. You know what I mean? But like, anyway, still, Gengoemon, we'll just call him your stepdaddy. Stepdaddy was a dick and he ran out on you and he just never, and like, yeah, it's just, no, he was a douche, sorry. Kuga, I know, poor baby. I was on edge while listening next to him. I hope he's okay after hearing all that. I was concerned that he knew too much about his past now, and worried because his past must have been a painful one for him to know. Miyaji seemed to feel the same way. I didn't even need to check his threads. I could tell by the look on his face. I had no idea there was a truth to A Tale of Vengeance. Coming here was worth our time after all. Doesn't seem like the kind of play you do over at... Wait. Doesn't seem like the kind of play you do over at... Kikuria. Yeah, it's Kikuria. Okay. Kikuria, since the Onagata wouldn't really stand out. Although the entertainment district crew seemed as unbothered, or should I say, vessel-like as ever. I don't know, Otaro is just a ball of sunshine. It's unbothered, definitely, but... Well, we all have similar origins. Genjiro's not special. Kinda is, though, Tojo. The person that owned you actually cared about you. Well, to be fair, it's not that Gengoemon didn't care about the sword that he stole, but it's like, the man who owned you was like, my favorite tobacco pouch, and like, was... The worst thing he did that we're aware of is just smoke. That's not good for your health, but like, whatever, everyone's got their vices. You know what I mean? I play gacha games. That's technically gambling. There you go. People drink. They like, whatever. So like, that's the worst thing this man ever did, as far as we know, is he was a smoker. Okay.
So, like, it's not like he's a thief or a murderer. Meanwhile, Guga's like, I don't know who my dad is. Aww.
Right. Possibly even better.
At least they're trying to help.
Ugh. Pretty much. I should have just ended this conversation back at the base. I guess Tojo and Yoichi are bothered by it too? Although Tominari appeared to simply be giving his thoughts. This may be the first time I've ever seen vessels show concern for another vessel. That's bullshit! And you know it, because you know Yoichi was kind of saying things when Kuga was locked up in the house and we were going on patrol with him. You were like, you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward? Yoichi being Squidward and Kuga being Krabby Patties. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was saying things and you're like, you like him, you're his friend, that's adorable. So he was technically showing concern for him at that point. I guess that's why Kuga's reaction... Oh, I guess that's why Kuga's reacting a little bit differently than he did before. No, it's because he's been cracking for a while. Plus, it's chapter 6. He's going to crack soon so we can fall in love with him. Days had gone by in a flash since Hanzo, now a spirit, disappeared without a trace. Hanzo was nowhere to be seen, but the Oniwaban spent every single day constantly assuming he might be somewhere nearby. How are the form folk doing? I'm helping Hanzo! I would never let the likes of you people arrest me here! That explains a lot. In a corner of Castletown, a form folk who was caught in a net was shouting loudly. Okay, but I meant the original ones that he, so is he gathering new ones? Hey, Spacey, hurry it up! You're holding us up! Okay. At Yoichi's insistence, I touched the form folk as he frantically squirmed around after getting caught in the net. I prayed and prayed with all my heart that he'd go back to his old self, to free him from Hanzo's control, then... Ah, okay, now we're using our powers to free the form folk. Huh? I could see in his face that he was back to his law-abiding self, despite having hurled curses at us just moments before, his threads a fiery red. Phew. I was simultaneously relieved that I successfully managed to purify him, and also wondering how many people I'd performed the snow sacrament on today. The city of Ito was currently in an uproar over the recent rash of form folk running rampant. Form folk who had been living completely ordinary lives suddenly went mad, demanding Genjiro show himself. This was clearly Hanzo's doing. Form folk all over Ito fell victim to it even faster than the kidnappings. With no idea what was happening, people were beginning to fear the form folk themselves. That's terrible. You know, what I haven't seen happen yet and I'm concerned about is, what about Mimi? What's gonna happen to her? Because she's a form folk, and we trust her, and if Hanzo ever notices that, which he hasn't yet, but I feel like they're either purposely keeping her out so that we don't worry that she's going to end up kind of, say, leading Hanzo to us, or being bait, or whatever, because they're like, she's not pertinent to this, so just don't show her so that we don't feel concerned about that. Or they're doing that so when she shows up later, you're like, oh, fuck. And then that's what's going to happen. I've been concerned ever since he took over Mitsu and whatever, and he's taking over form folk. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what about Mimi? Because that's what about her? What about our girl? Don't you touch my daughter. She might be like my sister and my friend, but she's also technically my daughter. Kind of fucking weird. Yet another day of running around Ito done.
We have no choice. If they were locked up in jail, we wouldn't be able to perform the snow sacrament on them. Yeah, we gotta wrap this up before anyone else finds them.
No, I'm saying there's no end to this. Just because we perform the snow sacrament on them doesn't mean Hanzo won't brainwash them into going on another rampage.
I mean, I'm not saying you should lock them up, but maybe that would be better. But I feel like that is on a very, whoa, we're going into dangerous territory with that thought process.
But you know what I mean? Like we can't. But like if the constables grabbed them or while they were acting up and locked them up, we'd be like, I guess we can't perform the snow sacrament on them, and we don't want them to get in trouble. It's not like, you know what I mean? They're being possessed and you can't tell. But like, okay, but like, could you though? Because like, the only wabon on what we do is secret. But at the same time, they have to know that there's the horrible smoke monsters. Nobody's ever seen these. I mean, we know when Tojo's route, people have seen these horrible smoke monsters and stuff. So, like, you can't be like, oh, it's one of those terrible smoke monsters is kind of like possessing them, and we're trying to find out, where it's coming from and keep them locked up to keep them safe from themselves and from hurting other people. And then when the smoke monsters destroyed Hanzo, then they'll be fine. You know what I mean? But like, I guess we really can't. But like, do they think the smoke monster? They're like, oh my god, and it's just gone. Okay, cool. No big deal. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I mean, I get it. It's kind of like a superhero story, right? There's like a monster and you got Batman or Superman taking shit down, and then you're like, okay, but it's not like it just magically disappears and you're like, I couldn't see the superhero that took this monster down. You know what I mean? Because let's imagine you're living in this town and there's this giant smoke monster. Ah! What a thread monster, to be fair. You're attacking people, and then it just magically disappears because you have no idea that there were people that are battling it and took it down and killed it. It just disappears. You're like, oh, phew, it went away, and you go about your daily life like nothing fucking happened. Don't you think the not knowing, you'd be like, when's it gonna pump up again? Because it just poofed out of existence. It's coming back. It's gonna come back. It's a monster. This is not a weather phenomenon where you're like, oh shit, there's weird creepy clouds and then they cleared up. Okay. Where you're like, all right, it's a monster. So like, how do they explain that like, nope, everything is good. The monster was defeated by nothing. We don't know it, So I mean, I guess they can't really, because if the constables locked up the form folk, then they would get charged with whatever they were doing, like destruction of property or being rowdy or being assholes. And then when the form folk are freed from Hanzo, they can't be like, oh, I had no idea what I was doing, because you know what I mean? It's got to be secret, so we're the only ones that can do it. But it's like, why can't we just have someone, if we don't have time to do that, is that if we catch a form, not to say we're rounding up all the form folk and putting them in fucking containment camps, because that's fucking wrong. But, like, this guy is doing horrible things. He's working for Hanzo. Okay, you're susceptible to Hanzo. Why can't we put him somewhere as if he's as if, like, he was being arrested? We know it's not his fault, but if we keep him off the streets and put somewhere, it's like, we're going to keep you here, even if we free him. And we're like, we're going to keep you here, though, so that Hanzo can't get to you. Like, because Hanzo is possessing you, so we're going to keep you here to keep you safe, because he's possessing you, and we don't want that to happen again. But then I guess people are then going to talk about all their form folk missing. There's really no good way of managing this without it being like, whoa, borderline human rights violations, and then we're just, people then scared because their form folk are missing, or that it's just, there's really got no good option, I guess. Aside from doing this, I just freed this guy from Hanzo 5 minutes ago, and he's possessed again, and I'm gonna die doing this, And he's a spirit now, meaning there's no point in telling everyone to be careful. Mitsuhige and the rest said they still have no idea how to defeat him. True. Hearing him describe the situation like that made me want to heave a big sigh, too. When Hanzo first ran amok, form folks simply fell asleep after being captured by him. We were glad to see the brainwashing went away on its own once they woke up, but that only lasted momentarily before they started going on rampages without warning. Ever since, we'd been working hard to perform the snow sacrament on all the form folk before they woke up in order to prevent any further rampages. However, and it's unfortunate that if you perform a sacrament on this person, they're still susceptible to being attacked by him later. Only form folk had been involved with Hanzo at first, but now, form folk we'd already performed the snow sacrament on are starting to go crazy again. Yeah, so it's not like it's a preventative measure, This would never end, no matter how many times we purified them. It's a never-ending cycle, yeah.
Look, he's a form folk, ain't he?
He is. These days you can't just walk around with a form folk. Who knows what'll happen if he goes crazy. And see, now Hanzo's making everybody fucking racist. Good job, Hanzo. Everybody was perfectly peaceful, and you made this shit racist. Everyone's like, oh, look at that guy. He's a form folk. Okay, like, what the hell? Douche. Uh-oh. There was one other thing bringing my mood down. I was catching snippets of conversations that I never would have expected to hear simply walking around Edo before. I'd rather turn all the form folk back into objects. Then we could all live in peace. See, this is some serious level shit. Kind of reminds me of being back in the village where living with form folk was banned. With townspeople staring at them and whispering, the form folk and his female companion, likely his owner, awkwardly made themselves smaller as they walked around. Also, the whole, like, form folk and his owner ain't helping. Like, things are getting racist up in here. That's not helping. It's not helping, game, but... Hey, Yuichi, do you think Hanzo's trying to threaten us by making all these form folk run wild? Threaten? What do you mean? He's a spirit. He can go anywhere he wants except for places with barriers around them. Wouldn't it be so much easier for Hanzo to look for Kuga himself instead of manipulating form folk into doing it for him? So why is he doing this? And again, it's not like we can put form folk where there's a barrier around them because that's like putting them in a containment camp. And it's like, that's a little fucked up. Unless they willingly went like, listen, this guy Hanzo is like possessing you. It's not your fault. He's just a vengeful form folk spirit. Because like in this world where like I brought an object to life, I'm pretty sure talking about, like, a vengeful form folk spirit is, like, you know, and like, they're not going to be like, what the fuck are you on? They're going to be like, oh, shit, that sounds scary. I fully feel like they'd believe you, obviously. You know what I mean? So, like, I guess you could be like, we would really like to keep you safe, but that involves locking you in this area over here that's protected by a barrier so Blightfall can't get into it. I don't think I would put them in the Oniwaban base, but whoever I find someone that could put a barrier around some other place and be like, here's this house, you can stay here for now. You know what I mean? It's not like we're caging them, but you know what I mean? Like, you could willingly stay in a house. We're trying to, like, witness protection, I guess. You know, something like that. It's like, your tonal line are questionable, but if you weren't dragging them off to it just because they were form folk, if you were like, he keeps like making you go crazy and we're doing this for your own protection because we don't want, and if they were like, yeah, cool, I don't want to be possessed by some kind of vengeful form folk spirit, then like, maybe you could do that, but there's probably an awful lot of form folk and that'd be really fucking complicated, but...
True. So you think the whole give up Genjiro and stop hiding him thing is an order from Hanzo?
Yeah. Not that we would ever hand him over. That's the absolute last thing I want to do. If all Hanzo wanted to do was find Kuga, his method was terribly ineffective. I figure he must have some other motive.
A lot of humans in town have been saying it must be some kind of grudge or curse from someone Genjiro killed. Which is technically true, I suppose.
No, it isn't. Kuga hasn't done anything to Hanzo.
They're still convinced that Genjiro is the one he's looking for, though. Enough about that. Clearly Hanzo's goal is to sow chaos in Edo. But I mean, Blightfall haven't been spawning more frequently even though people are all messed up over it. And doesn't it just make sense that Hanzo's involved?
The words rolled off Yoichi's tongue as if he'd collected his thoughts on this a long time ago. Does that mean the more mayhem there is in Edo, the more powerful Hanzo becomes? That would be horrible. I mean, that's a very valid point. They're sowing the seeds of discontent, more black threads are showing up, but Blightfall aren't appearing from those, which would be the standard protocol. So Hanzo is absorbing all that evil energy, so it is making him stronger.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. He's a Blightfall with godly powers, after all. Maybe taking all the form folk and spreading bad rumors about Genjiro were part of his plan all along.
I feel like we're always one step behind Hanzo. Our sassy lost child is a bit of a dick. Our sassy lost ghost child. There was no getting around it. Finding a way to defeat a spirit blightfall like Hanzo, something we had no precedent for, was going to take a long time. Well, we can purify, and we're going to be the one to be able to do it. That's why our Hakuseki clan powers have manifested in this route and didn't in Tojo's, you know? It frustrated me that everything aside from battle was going swimmingly for Hanzo, like the rumors about Kuga or people bad-mouthing form folk. My single most important duty is to protect the people of Edo in order to make their lives even a tiny bit more peaceful. And yet, defeating Blightfall, protecting the town folks' way of life, not being able to do either filled me with unease. I've been running around putting all my energy into snow sacraments, but essentially accomplished nothing.
Laura and the others aren't coming. I was kind of hoping they'd tell us they found a way to beat Hanzo today.
I guess not. We'll have to send our report to Miyagi's house later. After heading back to the base, I walked down the hallway with Yoichi. Kyoshiro and the others would join us as soon as they'd made some progress figuring out a way to defeat Hanzo. The fact that they were nowhere to be seen meant they were still investigating. You know what? My brain was literally going to be like, you know what? We're back at the base. Where the fuck is my bird? Here she is. And I was thinking in my head, seriously, literally, the second we showed back up at base, I'm like, where the fuck is Kamame? Now we're back here. I'm still mad about the fact that they kind of just wrote her out for Kuga's route. And then I was like thinking, well, you know what? I bet she'll be around a lot in Yoichi's route. And then think of the devil, because I didn't speak of her, but here she is. Oh! Kamame came hurtling out when she heard Yoichi's voice, since I let her run free in my room. But, where was she the whole time you were living with Kuga, who was taking care of her? Choop choop! The next moment, she was cheerfully nuzzling Yoichi's foot.
Right. Forgot you're living here at the base, not Genjiro's house.
We never took her! I really wish they had put a line in there. I brought all my stuff, including Kamame, and then then we'd at least know she was there. I mean, I assumed, but they didn't tell us, and I'm kind of annoyed about that. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to take a teeny tiny tip of a star off. Not very much, because, listen, they've got above and beyond with putting the bird and all the motherfucking sprites. Okay, and they didn't have, and seriously? But, it was one of those, you've put all the effort into making sure, and they're like, oh, she was nestling on, if we could see his full body, we would see the bird on his foot right now, okay? You know what I'm saying? But you didn't tell us we took Kamame when we moved to Kuga's house? What the fuck? Come on. Come on. I expect more from you, game. Yeah, there's no point in guarding it without Kuga around, and it's dangerous over there since Hanzo knows where he lives now. Speaking of which, Yoichi was no longer living here at the base. He was back to staying at Yanagi Brewery. To be perfectly honest, I thought he should stay here at the base since we were busy as ever with Oniwaban tasks. Say, why don't you come live here again, Yoichi?
Yeah, no.
You could at least keep an eye on Kuga. You know, it doesn't matter what you say. I can tell you're worried about him.
No, I'm not.
Yeesh. Hell no. He won't even give me the time of day. Yes, he is. No, I'm not. Chirp! Kamame clung to Yoichi's foot, also saddened. See, Kamame wants you to stay here with us, too. I don't think she'll let you leave. Yoichi's like, I could just walk away. The bird's not stopping me. Yoichi shot me a thoroughly annoyed look before kneeling down and picking Kamame up in the palm of his hand. That's so cute. He doesn't just walk away. He's like, pick up the damn bird. He really is a fucking Disney princess.
Fine. I'll watch her tonight. But only because we'll be working together all day tomorrow.
Look, and she's sitting on his hand. Look how tiny she is. Chirp! What?
I'll drop the report off at Mitsuhige's on my way home. Later.
What? While I stood there bewildered, Yoichi took an overjoyed Kamame with him and left the base. Oh, he's not staying here. He's taking my bird. Hell no! Listen to me. excuse me, your back is turned to me, but I'm going to talk to the back of your head. If you think that some pretty Disney princess boy is going to come all up in my house and you're going to fall in love with him, that's just fine and dandy, but he is not motherfucking taking you out of this goddamn house unless I am going on vacation and I need him to. Okay, then that's fine. But like, yeah, I know you're peeping. But no, you're not gonna go live with your Disney princess boyfriend. Not unless I get to go live with our Disney princess boyfriend. Yeah. Bird's looking at me like, are you talking to, what happened? You just saw the Komame birdie. She went to go live with the Disney princess boy. My bird's like excited, like, excuse me? Now you're chirping? No, her chirpy lines are over. Yeah, but there was the birdie on the screen. You learned. You chirping? Yeah? Just making peeps? She's done talking, though. But good job. Good job, Booger Boo. She's such a good boy. She did a very good job with your chirps. Good job. I'm proud of you. Wrong timing, but we'll work on it. I know. He took the birdie, though. But if you think that you're gonna go live with some Disney princess boy, even for a night, that's not happening. Not on my watch. She's not gonna nobody take my birdie. She's not gonna let nobody take my birdie. Again, unless I'm like going away or something, so that you're not lonely, then I would let somebody babysit you. But otherwise, no, it's not happening. You know? Even if you like them better than me, I'm gonna feel like Tojo and feel dejected and rejected. I would feel like Tojo in that situation. You'd reject me for like the bitchy little Disney princess? Fair enough. I might reject me for the bitchy little Disney princess too. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.